Let's get reaction to that with Tshwane University of Technology SRC President Keamogetswe Masike. Keamogetswe, very good evening and thank you so much for joining us.
Good evening, Gwen, and good evening to your listeners as well, my brother.
Let's start maybe with the clip we just played now, the minister talking about the appointment of Lourens Staden after the leave of absence taken by the former chairperson. Your take on that?
Yeah, we welcome the appointment of the former Vice-Chancellor of the Tshwane University of Technology, Professor Lourens van Staden. I think Prof has a wealth of experience in the higher education sector. He has served at TUT for over 5 years as a Vice-Chancellor and Principal. And for the past 4 decades, he has demonstrated the highest level of commitment to serving the poor and the working class citizens of this country. Prof has also served as an administrator at University of Technology, serving as a chairperson in numerous university councils, and also served as a chairperson of the Walter Sisulu University Council. So indeed, we do welcome that appointment. We believe that after what has happened over the past academic year, where we saw NSFAS collapsing on a daily basis, where the current, or rather the former chairperson of the board was found in criminal injure in restaurants, discussing appointment processes. And that said to us, indeed, the scheme is in a state of a crisis, and we've been calling upon the intervention of the minister to assist us, because students have been raising genuine concerns across all institutions of higher learning to say that service providers have been appointed, and we've done our research as well as student leaders to say that these companies do not even have financial experience in the financial sector, and many of them were just handpicked and precisely appointed for this term. And it cannot be correct, because students are saying that this is the money that assists us in having access to meal allowances and also accommodation. So we believe that perhaps we might be heading in the right direction. But we're not going to protect criminals if Prof as well as found to have taken the behavior of the former chairperson of NSFAS, or things that this appointment gives him also a license to participate in criminal activities where money will just be flying around restaurants where the leadership just decides to discuss who must be appointed. It's not going to be tolerated. Actually, we're also calling upon the minister as well to take decisive action against the former chairperson of the board, Mr. Ernest Khoza, because we believe that indeed he has played a critical role, in some of these appointments. And look, we have been provided with concrete proof that indeed he said in fancy restaurants, bragging about his power as a chair, that he has power to manipulate processes at NSFAS. And that says to us, the chairperson of the board must be arrested. He must stay in prison, and we must then work hand in hand in bringing back the scheme into a good state of reputation moving forward.
Keamogetswe, there's also been calls for the same minister also to take a similar leave of absence due to similar allegations. He is trying to fix the problem, as it were, as you've just mentioned. But what do you make of those calls for him to follow the same course under those same allegations?
We remain unapologetic as well for that pronouncement or that call, clarion call, to say that the minister must step down. And we've called upon the intervention of the president, Mr. Cyril Ramaphosa, to assist us in the process, because we've been trying to get hold of the minister's attention for the past 8 months, calling and crying in the picket lines, protesting day in, day out, sincerely pleading with the minister to assist us in fixing the state of higher education in the country. But we've seen that the minister is incompetent the minister has demonstrated the highest level of intolerance to students of this country, and these are the poor students and the dejected students who come from the poor of the poorest backgrounds of this country. And that is said to us, perhaps the minister might have been also been involved in the processes of corruption at NSFAS because he presides over the department and he oversees some of these things that take place at NSFAS. He has also declared the highest level of intolerance to some of the political organizations, student leaders that have called upon his immediate intervention. And that said to us, the minister maybe perhaps does not have an interest in the well-being and the welfare of the students of this country, the students that have went to institutions of higher learning to seek for greener pastures, the students of this country that have went to institutions of higher learning to seek for a better education, because we've maintained a view that gates of institutions must be free, and it is only through a sustainable NSFAS coffers that will then be able to achieve what we've maintained as student leaders. But the minister has shown that he has no interest. His only interest is these tenders. His only interest is money. His only interest is speaking a lot of English in some of these media briefings, because I must cite it that the minister is a very good English speaker. He speaks English fluently in some of these media briefings. You can maybe perhaps agree that you can differ maybe perhaps with some of the views that student leaders are having that implicate the minister in some of these criminal injuries. You might think that the minister is innocent. You might think that the minister is a saint because he speaks fluent English whenever he's given a podium. But his office is slowly degenerating. The state of higher education in South Africa is a mess. As we are about to start with the academic year of 2024, many students are whom they have not received the allowances that were due to them from the previous academic year. And that says to us, the minister is not doing his job. The minister must resign with immediate effect. Actually, we have called upon this call before the Amapogopogo returned from France, because at the time we had made a thorough analysis that before the Amapogopogo led to South Africa, the minister must have handed over his resignation in the morning. And we've asked for President Ramaphosa to also assist us in this process. We've written to the Secretary General of the ANC, Mr. Fikile Mbalula, to also assist us. We've written to the General Secretary of the South African Communist Party to assist us in this process, because we are crying of higher learning.
In the interest of time, allow me just to move on a little bit. And with that said, then the minister then announced the move by government for the missing middle, which I guess, whichever way you look at it, it's a positive move going forward, isn't it?
Look, we've maintained a view that the missing middle in a country like South Africa, it does not exist. And this is precisely informed by the fact that these universities have become commodified centers of production. We only have the rich and we only have the poor in South Africa. There's no one who is in the middle. And this is also precisely informed by the faltering economy on higher education. We've tried to mitigate around the issue of missing middle students with officials of these universities in trying to curb some of the challenges that they face, because many of these students are the students that are segregated in some of the processes of institutions. These are the students that on a yearly basis, they suffer from historic debt. These are the very same students that do not have access to affordable student accommodation. These are the very same students that are compelled to pay institutions of higher learning post their graduation. So we've maintained the view that, the missing middle in South Africa does not exist. Government must make alternatives. Government must make means that education is accessible to the poor and the vulnerable students of this country. To say that the minister has also opted that this alternative becomes a loan, it also says and it also raises an alarm to say, actually attests some of these things that we're saying, to say that these institutions are centers of commodity. And we are questioning that why must students pay a lot of money or repay a lot of money to get access to education? And we're seated where we are today. Some of us are historically indebted. We are unemployed as well. And, we're having an incompetent minister who does not want to come to the ground to robustly engage in some of these issues.
But Keamogetswe, I think then, based on what you are saying, the answer then would be free education. Which is something that has been promised even more than 30 years ago when I was still a student. But government still fails to deliver that.
Government is still failing, my brother, because I can tell you, in institutions of higher learning, come registration now, I'm even happy that matriculants are about to receive their matric results. They'll be flooding institutions of higher learning in the next coming week. I can tell you that in queues, when gates are closed, it's only black students who are in those queues. White students are not in those queues. We only see those white students in cafeterias eating nice food, post-registration. And that says to us, the black child in this country remains a child of a lesser God, because government does not want to assist us in making education free, in making some of these institutions, decolonizing some of these universities, to refrain from prioritizing profit over money. I can tell you that when you're a black child in this country and you do not have proper funding, or you do not have financial support either coming from government or your household, you are bound to face what we call you are bound to be homeless, just to be precise, because even some of these student accommodations that cater for students that get support from government are commodified. If you do not have 4,500 to pay for a bed, it means that you do not have access to proper water, you do not have proper access to a proper bed. So we are still called upon free education in our lifetime.
Keamogetswe, let's leave it there, but thank you so much for taking time to speak to us. Keamogetswe Masike, just talking to us there, responding to earlier press conference by the Minister of Higher Education, Blade Nzimande, amongst other things, the appointment of Professor Van Staden, and also the funds that have been made available to help the missing middle, as it were.